Folks, we're less than a week into President Trump's second term, and let me tell you, the swamp is already feeling the heat. Forget draining it. Trump's come back with a flamethrower this time. In a whirlwind of executive orders, he's taking aim at the radical left's agenda piece by piece. Biden and the radical left spent 4 years trying to fundamentally transform this country, and not for the better. Now it's about taking our country back. First up, Trump sending a clear message. What the Biden administration did in the shadows, he's tearing down in broad daylight. 78 executive actions. Gone just like that. Open borders, gone. Climate change hysteria, gone. Critical race theory poisoning our schools? You guessed it, gone. This isn't just about undoing the damage, folks. It's about restoring common sense to government. Remember when America was about putting Americans first? Trump does. Let's be honest, folks. Birthright citizenship has been a loophole for far too long. People coming here illegally, having children who are automatically citizens. It's absurd, and it's unfair to every American who played by the rules. Now, I know the liberal media. They'll call this one cruel. They'll say it's unconstitutional. But you know what's truly cruel? Rewarding illegal behavior. And as for the Constitution, well, it's about time we had a president who actually wants to enforce it. Let's not mince words. The southern border is a war zone. Drugs pouring in. Criminals, gangs. It's an invasion, plain and simple. And for years, the political class in Washington has sat on their hands, more concerned with virtue signaling than protecting American citizens. Well, President Trump sees what's happening, and he's calling it what it is, a national emergency. He's sending in the military, he's building the wall, and he's making it crystal clear that America is no longer a pushover. This is about national security, folks, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you something. Chapter 4, the death penalty returns. For some crimes, folks, there's only one just punishment, and for too long, the federal death penalty has been gathering dust, ignored by weak politicians afraid of their own shadows. Well, President Trump believes in the rule of law, and he believes in justice. That's why he's bringing back the federal death penalty, sending a message to anyone who thinks they can terrorize innocent Americans. Your time is up. This isn't about revenge, folks. It's about consequences. It's about protecting the innocent and making sure that evil doesn't pay. Chapter 5, the regulatory swamp, drained. The deep state, they love their regulations. Every year, thousands of pages of new rules and red tape strangling businesses, killing jobs and making it harder for everyday Americans to get ahead. Well, President Trump is putting his foot down. He's freezing new regulations, sending the bureaucrats scrambling. It's time to let American businesses thrive again, folks. It's time to unleash the power of the free market. Chapter 6, Refugee Resettlement on Hold. Now, I know there are some well-meaning people out there who think we should open our doors to the entire world, but let's be realistic, folks. We can't help everyone, and we certainly shouldn't be putting the needs of refugees ahead of our own citizens. President Trump is suspending refugee admissions, and frankly, it's about time. We need to get our own house in order before we start taking in the world's problems. Charity starts at home, folks. Chapter 7. Drug cartels. Terrorists, plain and simple. The cartels are at war with America. They're trafficking drugs into our communities, poisoning our children and leaving a trail of death and destruction in their wake. Well, President Trump is calling them what they are, terrorist organizations. This means we can hit them with everything we've got, folks. No more playing nice. It's time to take the fight to the cartels and wipe them off the face of the earth. Chapter 8, No Jobs Safe in the Swamp. For too long, the federal government has been a haven for incompetence. People with lifetime jobs, no matter how badly they perform, well, those days are over. President Trump is making it easier to fire underperforming federal workers. It's time to bring some accountability to Washington, folks. It's time to make the government work for the people again.
Chapter 9, TikTok on the clock. TikTok, folks, it's not just a silly app. It's a national security threat. The Chinese Communist Party is using it to spy on Americans, steal our data, and spread their propaganda. President Trump tried to ban it, but the deep state fought him every step of the way. Now he's giving them one last chance to divest, but let me be clear. If TikTok doesn't comply, it's game over.
Chapter 10. Enforcing the law. Imagine that. We have immigration laws in this country for a reason. They're there to protect us, to preserve our way of life. But for decades, they've been ignored. Politicians in Washington, more concerned with being seen as compassionate than actually protecting their own citizens. Well, President Trump is done with the charade. He's ordered strict enforcement of our immigration laws. If you're here illegally, you will be deported. It's as simple as that. Chapter 11. Foreign aid. Charity begins at home. We've been sending billions of dollars to countries that hate us, countries that burn our flag, chant death to America, and then turn around and bite the hand that feeds them. Well, President Trump is putting an end to that. He's cutting off foreign aid to these ungrateful nations. It's time to put America first, folks. Charity begins at home. Chapter 12. Justice for January 6th. January 6th was a dark day for America, a day when a mob of patriots, frustrated with a stolen election, took their grievances to the Capitol. And how did the establishment respond? By persecuting these people, throwing them in jail, denying them their basic rights. Well, President Trump believes in justice and he believes in mercy. That's why he's pardoned many of those involved in January 6th. It's time to heal the divisions in this country, folks. It's time to move on. Chapter 13. No more WHO puppet show. The World Health Organization, folks, it's a corrupt, bloated bureaucracy, more interested in protecting China than actually promoting global health. They lied to us about the pandemic, they covered up for the Chinese Communist Party, and they've done nothing but waste American taxpayer dollars. President Trump was right to pull us out of this corrupt organization. It's time for America to lead the way in global health, not be beholden to these globalist institutions. Chapter 14. The Paris Agreement. Dead on arrival, the Paris Agreement, folks. It was a disaster from the start, a globalist scheme to transfer wealth from America to developing countries, all while doing nothing to address climate change. It would have killed jobs, crippled our economy, and for what? A bunch of empty promises from countries like China who continue to pollute with impunity. President Trump was right to pull us out of this job-killing agreement. It's time to put America first, folks, and that means putting American workers first. Chapter 15, Two Genders. That's science. The left, folks, they want to make us believe that gender is some kind of fluid concept, that there are dozens of genders, maybe even hundreds. They want to confuse our children, indoctrinate them with their radical ideology. Well, President Trump believes in science, and science is clear. There are two genders, male and female. It's time to stop this madness, folks. It's time to protect our children and stand up for common sense. Outro, the fight's just begun. President Trump is back and he's not pulling any punches. These executive orders are just the beginning. He sent a clear message to the swamp. The American people are in charge now. The radical left, the mainstream media, the deep state, they're all terrified. They know their grip on power is slipping, and they're doing everything they can to stop him. But President Trump, he answers to one people, the American people, and he's not backing down. This is a fight for the soul of our nation, folks. A fight for freedom, for liberty, for the America we know and love, and President Trump is leading the charge.